Hello students, today in our chapter of history we are going to start chapter 2, the early humans. In this chapter you will study about origin and evolution of mankind, periods or ages of human evolution, beginning of farming and herding, beginning of settled life, a case study on Mehergarh, origin and evolution of mankind. We do not have any idea about the place of origin of mankind. Evidences indicate that human beings may have originated in Africa as the area has a favorable climate conditions for the evolution of human life. It was around 15 million years ago that humans appeared on the earth for the first time. In the beginning, humans lived like animals. They lived in a cave or in the hollow trunks of trees. Look at this image. This is the image of early humans with living styles and features resembling that of apes. The ancestors were called anthropoids, which means man like animals. Humans went along a long evolutionary period. As a result of this evolution, modern man appeared on the earth 40,000 years ago. This is the picture of hunter-gatherers. It is believed that later on from Africa, the human species may have wandered off to Asia, Europe, and America. Periods or ages of human evolution. Our information about early humans is based on the remains of tools and objects that have been excavated from different parts of the world by archaeologists. Most of the tools and objects were made up of stones because stones were abundant at that time. The period is known as Stone Age. It is divided into three main sub-periods: Paleolithic Age, Old Stone Age, 5 lakh to 10,000 BC, Mesolithic Age, Middle Stone Age, 10,000 BC to 8,000 BC, Neolithic Age, New Stone Age, 8,000 to 4,000 BC. Paleolithic Age. Paleo means old and lithic means stone. The Paleolithic man prepared stone tools to defend himself from wild animals. He also used these tools for hunting animals, chopping meat, cutting wood, and digging. The early man made two types of tools, core and flake. The core tools were made from large stones by sharpening the edge. The flake tools were the sharp pieces of stones that broke away while sharpening the core tools. These tools were crude and unpolished. Humans of this period were nomads. They were food hunters and gatherers and moved from one place to another in search of food. The early humans accidentally discovered fire by rubbing two pieces of stone. This was the first and the greatest achievement of mankind. Fire helped them not only to provide warmth in cold but also safety from wild animals. People roasted the raw food and made it softer and tastier. In India, the remains of this period have been found in the region of Upper India and Upper Nomad. Mesolithic Age. Look at this picture. This is the picture of early man lighting fire. The age belongs to the period between the Paleolithic and the Neolithic ages. This is the image of Mesolithic tools. In fact, Meso means middle. The tools and implements of this ages gradually improved. In addition to the stone tools, humans learned to use horns and bones. They began to fix small stones on sticks and use them to hunt animals. They started to make huts with branches of trees. They continued to eat nuts, seeds, fruits, berries, fishes, etc. The Mesolithic men knew to drop seeds on soil to grow plants. He knew that water is also necessary to grow plants. So, he shifted his settlement near water bodies. Now he became food producer. He also started taming animals like cows, goats, sheep, and pigs. Dog was the first animal tamed by man. Mesolithic man protected himself from cold and rain by the skins, hides of the animals. The remains of the Mesolithic age have been found in Mysore and western Narmada region. Neolithic age. Neo means new. This third period of ancient man or early man is Neolithic age. In this age, man became a skilled tool maker. Now the tools were stronger and harder. He knew sharpening and grinding tools. He also started polishing tools like axe, knife, harpoons, and wooden bows. Look at this image. This is the image of Some Neolithic tools. Stone-tipped arrows. The remains of this period have been found in different parts of the world. In India, it is found in Kashmir, Assam, Bengal, and Orissa. The Neolithic man started growing grains like rice, wheat, etc. He worshipped earth as mother goddess. He believed in life after death. He was buried along with the object that he used in his life like pots, tools, beads, grains, etc. It was believed that he might need them in another life. The important achievement of man of Neolithic age were cultivation of crops and domestication of animals. Men started leading a settled life. This gave birth to the institution of family. Due to the availability of time and opportunity, man developed new skills for cutting grass and crops. He invented sickles for cutting trees. He invented axe and the grinding stone to grind the grains. He started knitting clothes with wool and jute. He carved little statues from ivory and bones. Settled life also initiated religious practices. The invention of wheel was the most remarkable invention of Neolithic men. He used wheel for making sledges and chariots. They also used the wheel for other activities like spinning and pottery. The pots were decorated with carvings of flowers, leaves, etc. In the beginning, the handmade pots were dried in the sun and used. Later on, he learned to bake the clay pots. It gave luster, durability, and strength to the pots. Once, accidentally, during the baking of clay pots in kilns, man discovered metal. The ore melted, and after cooling, metal was discovered. It is believed that copper was the first metal to be discovered by man. Thus, the Stone Age came to an end and a Copper Age began as man started using copper tools in addition to stone tools and implements. This period is known as Chalcolithic period or Copper Stone period. Chalco means copper. The events and the stone tools were similar in all parts of the world, but the use of metal brought a great revolution in the evolution of human society. Difference in the speed and level of development were seen in different parts of the world. Thus, Neolithic period was a step towards the development of civilization. Do you know? The life of the Neolithic people was not a constant struggle for survival because they were good hunters. They learned to organize hunting and store food for the long winter. This is the image of a paintings of Mesolithic period at Bhimbetka. This is the image of tribal art, the beginning of farming and herding. We have studied in the previous chapter that about 12,000 years ago, the climate of the world had started changing to relatively warm conditions. This led to the development of grasslands in many areas. Several grain-bearing grasses, including wheat, barley, and rice, grew naturally in different parts of the subcontinent. Thus, slowly, the plants and animals that people used as food started changing. All these changes probably made people more observant and vigilant. This is the image of farming. They might have observed the locations where edible plants grew, that is how grains buried in the soil grew and yielded food crops. Perhaps this encouraged them to look after the plants. In this way, people probably became farmers. Wheat and barley were the first cereals to be grown. This is the image of food crops. Later on, people started cultivating more food crops like rice and lentils as well as cotton, jute, etc. Farmers used simple tools such as hoes and crude plows. They harvested the crops with sickles made of flint. The discovery of agriculture has great importance in history. People now became food producers from food gatherers. They began to give up their nomadic lives and started to settle down. Beginning of a settled life in early villages. People who grow crops have to stay in the same place for a long time. This is the image of a village. This is because a seed in the soil takes some time to grow and ripen. This time may be for several days, weeks, months, and in some cases years. People have to look after the plants, water them, weed them, and drive away animals and birds to save them. All these are done till the grains ripen. Then the grains have to be used both as food and seed. All these procedures bound Neolithic people to give up a nomadic life and start a settled life. They now built mud houses with thatched roofs and began to live in group in small villages. Do you know? The basic feature of a village is that most people who live there are engaged in food production. The environmental change that took place around 12,000 years ago also led to an increase in the number of animals that survived on grass. People now begin to take interest in these animals' habits and their breeding seasons. Gradually, people began to think about herding and rearing them. People left food for them and encouraged animals like goat, sheep, cattle, and pig to come near the campus where they lived. People also protected these animals from attacks by other wild animals. In this way, people became herders. The wild ancestor of dog was the first animal to be domesticated. Later, people domesticated animals that were relatively gentle like sheep, goat, cattle, pigs, camels, horses, and donkeys. Do you know? It is the process in which people grow plants and animals. Domesticated animals solve the food problems to a great extent. Dogs help people in saving their lives from dangerous wild animals. Animals like cows, goats, sheep, camels provided fresh milk for them. They could also get meat from goats, sheep, etc. Thus, animals that were reared could be used as a store of food. Now, humans did not have to go on dangerous hunting trips in the search of food. Domesticated animals helped early man in agricultural work. Bullocks, donkeys, horses, and camels were used for riding and plowing the field. These animals provided manure to increase the fertility of the soil. This is the picture of using of bullocks for plowing. The animals also helped in solving the problem of clothing. They provided wool and skin which people used as clothes. Thus, domestication now made human lives much easier and safer than the lives of early hunter-gatherers. Animals multiply naturally. Besides, if they are looked after carefully, they provide us milk and meat, which is an important source of food. We can say that animals that are reared can be used as store of food. Now let's look at one of the example, Mehergarh. Mehergarh is located in a fertile plain. It is near the Bolan Pass. It is one of the most important routes to Iran. It is one of the earliest villages that we know about. It is probably one of the earliest places where people learned to grow wheat and barley. Here they also learned to rear goats and sheep for the first time. This is a site of a burial at Mehergarh. Excavations at the earliest levels of the site by archaeologists revealed evidence of many kinds of animal bones. These include the bones of wild animals like the deer and pig. In later levels, more bones of sheep and goats were found. Still in later levels, finding of cattle bones are most common. This suggests that this was the animal that was generally kept by the people. This is an image of a house in Mehergarh. Remains of square or rectangular houses fall under the category of other find. Each house comprised 4 or more compartments. Some of them may have been used for storage. When a person died, his relatives and friends normally paid their respect to him. People believed that there was some form of life after death. There are several burial sites that have been found at Mehergarh. Evidence reveals that in one instance, goats were buried along with a dead person. Probably was meant to serve as food in the next world. Now, for summing up, it was around 15 million years ago that humans appeared on the earth for the first time. As a result of evolution, modern men appeared on the earth 40,000 years ago. Humans of this period were nomads. They were food hunters and gatherers and moved from one place to another in search of food. Dog was the first animal tamed by man. The third period of ancient man or early man is Neolithic age. The Neolithic man started growing grains like rice, wheat, etc. The important achievements of man of Neolithic age were cultivation of crops and domestication of animals. It is believed that copper was the first metal to be discovered by man. This period is known as Chalcolithic period or Copperstone period. Chalco means copper. Men, women and children observed several things, protected and looked after plants and in this way became farmers. People domesticated animals such as sheep, goat, cattle, etc. protected them from outside attack and this way became herders. Thank you class. We will meet in the next class.